The user forms in Dragonfly have been designed to meet the needs of most stores. However, most of the forms are customizable, allowing store owners to change the form layouts and add, rename, reposition, or remove the fields on the form. This lesson explores the way in which forms can be customized. Form layouts consist of sections and elements. The sections allow the form to be divided into areas by topic so that related fields can be kept together in logical groupings. The sections also allow users with smaller screens to hide sections that are not currently in use. The form elements are the fields and labels that make up the user interface. We begin the customization process by choosing the subject to be edited from the Select Subject drop-down list. Some subjects have multiple layouts associated with them. If the subject you select has more than one layout, select the layout to be edited from the Select Layout drop-down list. The current form sections are listed in the Sections list in outline form. There are several section types available. The section header type section is used as a title bar for a section. These sections include arrow buttons to expand or collapse the section and can contain labels and other fields. The labels and fields are arranged in a single row in the order that you specify. The grid subsections are used to arrange fields below a section header. The grid can contain as many rows and columns as you need. The standalone grid is the same as the grid subsection, except it is used when there is no header section. The data row subsection is also used below section headers. It consists of a single row of fields displayed in the order you specify. These subsections are useful when you have several fields of different sizes to be arranged end to end. To add a new section, select the location where you want the section to be placed, then select the New Section Type from the Add drop-down list. You can rearrange sections using drag and drop in the section's outline. When a section is selected in the Sections list, the Section Editor panel will show some additional details for the section. This is where you set the section name, which is used in the section outline, and the number of rows and columns in the section. If you don't want a header section to be collapsible, uncheck the collapsible checkbox in the Section Editor panel. You can also delete the selected section, but keep in mind that when you delete a section, all the fields in that section will also be removed from the form. All the labels and fields on the form are listed in outline format in the Elements list. Data field elements are the fields based on the columns in the database table for the selected subject. Form component elements are the components that are hard-coded in the form's design. Static label fields are the custom labels that you add to the form. These labels are mostly used for header sections but can be added anywhere. Click the Add Label button in the section editor to add a new label to the section. It is also noted that each field automatically gets its own label as part of the field definition. The elements currently included on the form are noted by a check mark next to the element name. To add an element not currently on the form, first click on the section where you want to add the element, either on the form layout or in the sections list. Then click on the element to be added. It will be added to the selected section in the first available cell in the grid or row. To edit an element, click on it in the Elements list or click on the field in the form layout. The selected element will appear in the Element Editor panel. You can move an element to another section by selecting the new section from the Form Section drop-down list. You can change the label on the field in the Element Label text box. Leave this box empty if you don't want the label to appear. The Editor panel includes checkboxes to make the label bold or normal, or to center the label over the related field. The position boxes in the Element Editor define where the field will appear in its section. For grid sections and subsections, you can specify the row and column numbers for the field. For data row and header sections, the row must remain at 1, but the column field controls the order in which the fields are listed. The size boxes let you control the size of the fields. By default, each field is 1 row high and 1 column wide, but you can make an element larger by increasing these values. For example, you might make the field 2 or 3 rows high for a field that will get a large amount of text. Resizing the controls lets you keep the forms more compact with less wasted space. Take care to only put one field in each cell. For data fields, you have some options on how the field is displayed. Text fields can be displayed as an editable text box or a read-only field, with or without a label. Date fields can be displayed as a date picker field or as a read-only field. Fields that are limited to specific values can be displayed as a drop-down list, a set of radio buttons, or as a read-only label. The radio button option should only be used when there are just a few available values to pick from. In most cases, the out-of-the-box data field elements are optional and can be removed if they're not applicable to your store. But in some cases, the logic used on the form is expecting a field to be on the form. If you remove it, it may cause error messages when the form is used. If this occurs, add the field back on the form, then uncheck the visible checkbox. This makes the field available for the code, but hidden for the users. For example, the total debit card field is required on the point of sale form. But if your store does not accept debit card payments, just make this field not visible. Some of the layout editing you do will result in the automatic redrawing of the layout. But to avoid constant redrawing of the layout, most changes you make will not appear in the layout until you click the refresh button. You can resize the form in two ways. First, if you resize the layout designer form itself, the form being designed will resize by the same amount. Second, you can position the cursor over the right or lower edge of the layout area and reposition by dragging that edge. This mode is useful for smaller forms when you want to see the entire designer form but make the layout smaller. If you plan on making major changes to the form layout, begin by selecting the subject and layout to be edited, then click the Save As button to make a copy of the layout. Make your changes to the copy rather than the original. To test the copy, check the box labeled Make this layout active, then try opening the form in the usual manner. If the changes you made cause problems or need further modifications, reactivate the original form, make the changes to the copy, then reactivate the modified layout. Finally, you can change the colors used on the forms. Using different colors on the forms helps to make them easier to identify at a glance and more visually appealing. You can change the background color of the form, the color used in the section headers, and the color of the buttons on the form. To change a color, click the appropriate color button, then use the color dialog to select the new color. The text color used for labels on the fields and buttons is automatically set to black or white, based on the darkness of the background colors that you choose. You can also set form colors based on the application module they're associated with. Watch the setup session on setting module colors for more details.